Welcome to Weekly Digest, where we highlight the works of ministers of government as they push the administration's development agenda. The Ministry of Health is aiming to implement a telepathology program at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation within the next 3 months to effectively manage cancer patients. The ministry is working along with the Mount Sinai Health System to develop the program locally. Telepathology uses telecommunications technology to facilitate the transfer of image-rich pathology data between distant locations for diagnosis, education, and research.
Right now, the turnaround time for pathology slides probably about 3 months, and that's looking at the most optimistic scenario in the public sector. We have to change that.
With cervical cancer maintaining its position as the second most common cancer affecting women, the low adoption rate of HPV vaccines in Guyana has become a cause for concern.
How are we going to prevent cervical cancer from happening if we don't have a broad-based program? This is something I recall. HPV vaccination was started by Dr. Ramsaran. That's a long time ago. Up to now, we haven't been able to scale it up to where it ought to be.
Residents of Monrepo on the east coast of Demerara will soon be able to access primary health care in close proximity, as the sod was turned for the construction of a health center in the village.
We have cleared the site a little bit, and the contractor would be starting shortly. This is just one of many initiatives that we have on the East Coast as it regards to health.
Guyana's robust legislative framework is objectively moving forward to eradicate child labor by 2025. As they join with other countries, the Ministries of Labor and Human Services and Social Security on Friday held an awareness walk along Brickdam to commemorate World Day Against Child Labor.
We have started the Every Child Safe program, which focuses on raising children and adults in a safe and secure environment. This morning, I give the commitment through the Every Child Safe program that everything to do with child labor will be given equal importance as child abuse.
In keeping with government's aim to ensure that every child has adequate and equitable access to educational resources, the required textbooks will soon be distributed to students in nursery, primary, and secondary schools.
For the first time, all your primary and secondary and nursery children by September of this year will get all the textbooks they need to carry home in their book bags for free. We try to make sure that what we're doing in the classrooms will make your children better than you, because we know that's all you want for them.
The Because We Care cash grant, which is currently being distributed by government through the Ministry of Education, is one of the commitments made by the PPPC administration to help cushion the cost of living. The distribution will see every student benefit from the $40,000 grant.
We did very, very well. I'm very pleased with the efforts that went into getting us here, but also that went into rolling this out. Distribution was in the mid-90s, 90%. We're doing some mop-up. So everywhere in every region, there are people who couldn't make it for various reasons. Somebody was in the hospital, somebody died, and so on. So we have one final day in every region where there's a central point that people can go to pick this up.
Students and teachers of Christ Church Secondary will return to a brand new building at Camp and Middle Street in January 2024. This is being made possible as government inked 7 contracts to the tune of $688.1 million for the construction of the school, which was flattened by fire back in January.
Currently, the students at Christ Church are housed relatively comfortably but very far away considering where they're coming from. So we have managed to house them at the Cyril Potter College of Education, where for the most part their education has not been severely interrupted. I'm deeply grateful to the teachers who immediately rose to the challenge, and they had led by a fantastic head teacher and deputy head teacher who was able to have their team produce and perform as though they were in familiar circumstances.
Students of Madia Secondary School are being given the opportunity to write their Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate (CSEC) examinations in January 2024. This alternate choice is provided to the students who were affected by the deadly fire last month at the female dormitory.
We offered them the option of writing in January. Some students chose that option, and some felt that they needed to write it now. That was their way of reasserting their existence, I think. And so we let it be completely a choice, like we did with everything else, of the students and their parents. Where children chose to write now, we facilitated that with a caveat that if after the results are out they want a second chance, that they will get that, although we don't usually do that in the public schools.
Over 400 students are set to benefit from a brand new St. George's High School following the signing of 6 contracts, totaling $253.8 million to rebuild the school at its existing location in Georgetown. The construction of the school is expected to be completed within 7 months.
You heard the massive undertaking we're doing so that every child in every hill, on top of every hill, in every valley, in every street in this town, wherever they live, could get an education.
4 communities in the Matarkai sub-district in Region 1 can now expand agriculture production and beautify the area as government handed over 4 tractors, trailers, plows, and harrows.
One of the things that having gotten into office was to evaluate how can you make the communities much more self-sufficient, how can you help with their development. And you would have seen a number of tractors being delivered across the country. For the communities that are going to be receiving these expensive equipment, it is expected that you put a management system in place so that they can be operationalized as well as have a structured management when they'll be utilized.
Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Oniju Walrun, welcomed Guyana's first tourism and hospitality diploma programs offered by Action Invest Caribbean Inc.
Action Invest has created a path. It speaks to this new trajectory of tourism in Guyana.
With major investments being made, government is continuing to push for Guyana to become the most attractive tourism destination in South America.
We have a clear directive and mandate that Guyana becomes the premier tourism destination in this part of the hemisphere. We have targets and we would like to see more internationally branded hotels, and we sent out an expression of interest for internationally branded hotels. We would like to see our interior runways improved so we can have more airlift, and we've brought investment in this regard. We would like to see a road from Lethem to Linden to Lethem that connects Brazil, open up that entire corridor for tourism, and we've invested.
13 pump stations are operable in Georgetown, which will effectively drain flood water in the city due to the recent heavy rainfall.
I'm hoping that we can have much draw as possible from this sluice here, and this entire area here will be drainage will be effective in the entire area, but as I'm speaking, the rain is continuing. So we still have to be very careful in terms of how long this weather will be here. Now, the opening of the sluice will commence immediately, and now we are here to show that the sluice is open. So we are monitoring the situation. As I said, all 13 pumps were on this morning. We have 3 engineers dedicated to the city, and they have been monitoring the operators around to ensure that these sluices and also pumps are working.
Minister of Human Services and Social Security Dr. Vindya Prasad has announced that Lethem will soon have its own child advocacy center.
The Ministry of Human Services is supporting 2 NGOs, ChildLink and Blossom, and we have given both substantial subventions towards establishment of child advocacy centers, and they work in partnership with this ministry to provide support services. So with ChildLink, there will be the establishment of a child advocacy center in Region 9 in Lethem.
The center will offer specialized services designed to respond to cases of child sexual abuse. It will ensure children have access to a child-safe and child-friendly space to share their stories and get the support needed to overcome trauma. The ministry is also ensuring that training programs occur in smaller class sizes, recognizing the unique requirements of persons living with disabilities.
Classes are smaller because they need more attention, and we've been doing the training in various facilities and in communities across the region.
The government of Guyana is well on its way to delivering its promise of providing 50,000 house lots, as a US $150 million loan was inked with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the development of the housing infrastructure. Another US $50 million loan was signed between the two countries, which will aid in the construction of the Wismar 4-lane bridge project, which will be parallel to the Mackenzie-Wismar Bridge. 18 contracts totaling over $1.3 billion were on Tuesday signed for roadworks in Lamaha Yarrowcabra and Haruni Yarrowcabra NDCs on the Susdike-Linden Highway. These contracts signal another promise delivered, as His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali had committed to facilitating infrastructural interventions during an outreach to the communities earlier this year.
This government is a visionary government, a government that has planned and has set out to work for people, to set our country on a footing that could match any other country in the world, and in keeping with what is expected of any government, to lift the standards of its people, to bring its people along the pathway to prosperity, to development and progress. And this is the People's Progressive Party civic government.
Guyanese are continuously benefiting from a slew of infrastructural upgrades across the country. In line with this, hundreds of residents in Region 6 East Berbice Quarantine will be able to traverse on new roads, with others being rehabilitated as contracts to this effect were signed on Wednesday.
Stockpile your materials before you start construction, so that once you start construction, the inconveniences that people suffer will be minimized, and we'll be able to deliver to them a quality road in the shortest possible time.
Also, residents living in Region 4 and motorists that traverse the most populous region will soon have repaved roads, as government signed 25 contracts worth $809 million.
In this advertisement that went out for these various lots that we are awarding now, we had more than 20,000 contractors who applied for work. And that's the nature of what is going on in the country. We had the experience for simple tasks like reading and cleaning. 105 lots, 1,900 plus persons applied. I already said that hopelessness in our country has disappeared. People now know that they could get involved, they could get engaged.
This brings us to the end of this edition of Weekly Digest. For these and other government-related information, do log on to our website at dpi.gov.gy and our social media platforms as well. Goodbye.